Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I'm about to talk back. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Percy, and I am a field campaign manager with MoveOn.org. We are a national organization dedicated to making sure we hold these folks accountable for everything they do. Throughout the event today, you'll hear me say good afternoon, everyone. And when I do that so you can talk back to me, okay? And we have to keep the energy high because there are people who are working now to take away wonderful rights and benefits from each of us. So we have to keep the energy high so we can keep fighting. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon up there. Good afternoon in the center. Good afternoon over there. Good afternoon. We are here today, as you know, to hear from our wonderful Senator Bernie Sanders. We have been all over this weekend alone. This sweat is not just me. I've been working and traveling, and we just got here, and I am so super excited to be with you because I'm excited to be a part of this fight. I'm excited to be with you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited. I wish I didn't have to, but once you pick a fight, I'm in it. So, without further ado, I want to introduce my co-MC for the day, Nicole Gill, who is a great friend of mine. Over this weekend, we have become wonderful friends. She is the executive director of the Tax March. Please welcome her.
I'm going to try Chris's line. Good afternoon, everybody. Guys, it's been a long year. Yeah, it's been a long year. But we haven't just stood by and watched, right? Everyone in this room hasn't just watched, you've fought. And we're gonna keep fighting because Friday night, Republicans in the Senate did something absolutely awful, horrible, yeah. In fact, they passed this bill at 2 a.m. I wanted to be asleep at that time. Most of us should have been asleep. And they passed a bill they hadn't even seen, all right? 479 pages of legislative text that is gonna impact every single person in this room. And our senators, well, Republican senators, so one of yours, didn't even read it. Yeah. So let me tell you the two reasons I'm so upset about this bill. The first is it's going to give 87 million families a tax increase. And at the same time, it's also going to take health insurance away from 13 million Americans. So you might be asking yourself, why? Why did we have to do this? Why did we have to do it in the dead of night when nobody's watching? Because the Republican Party represents their donors, not their constituents. We've been on the road all weekend, and it's been a lot of fun, and I feel hopeful right now. I feel hopeful because you're here, we're here, and we're not going anywhere. And we are not going to stand for cuts to Medicare to pay for tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. We're not. We are not going to cut Medicaid so that companies can ship even more jobs overseas. Nope. Nope. And I will not stand for cuts to public education to give Donald Trump and his family $1 billion tax cut. So, Senator Toomey, if you're listening, I'm sure this is what he's doing. We're going to hold them accountable, right? Mark my words. Republicans will pay for this. We have sacrificed too much. They will pay. We are going to make them pay. All right? Make them pay. So I want you to do one quick thing before I turn it back over to Chris. I need you to get out your phone, and I want you to program this phone number in. And you're going to save it, and you're going to use it. It's 202. You already have it. Okay. I'll say it a couple times. How about that? 202-224-3121. I hear people saying it. You know what that is? The Capitol switchboard. Okay? 202-224-3121. Save it, and I want you tomorrow to call your member of Congress and tell them not 1 penny in tax cuts should go to millionaires, billionaires, and wealthy corporations. That's it. Not 1 penny. So the number is 202-224-3121. We're going to turn our voices into votes, and we're going to keep fighting. Thanks, guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Our first speaker, today we're going to hear from some everyday folks who are doing some great things in their lives, and if this goes through, this bill would affect them in really terrible ways. Our first speaker is Kevin Rooney. He is a graduate student at Penn State University on his way to get his PhD, jealous, in political science. He is involved in trying to start a union of graduate students at Penn State. And we are so unbelievably excited to have him. Please welcome him. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you all for letting me share my story. My name is Kevin Royning. I'm a graduate assistant at Penn State and a proud member of the Coalition of Graduate Employees, one of the newest affiliates of the Pennsylvania State Education Association. Graduate assistants serve a dual role in higher education, one that is fundamental to its functioning. While we take classes and learn from faculty, we also teach undergraduates and work for the university. A Penn State undergraduate would find it impossible to get their degree without the work of graduate assistants. Many of us teach hundreds of students during our time at Penn State. Graduate assistants in so many ways are part of the critical structure of education that keeps Penn State, the United States, the higher education system, and the United States more generally a leader. They do all this while often being paid at or below a living wage. At Penn State, that's less than $21,000 a year. The House GOP tax plan, which my congressman voted for, is an attack on me and my fellow graduate assistants. It demands that I pay taxes on money that I never see so that the GOP can stop taxing the inheritance of millionaires and billionaires. It'll close the door on graduate school for many of the poorest Americans who cannot rely upon support of family or other external sources while at university. The House GOP tax plan is an attack on higher education for all Americans. It taxes tuition waivers for graduate assistants, for the children of staff, and the children of faculty. At times when public funding for higher education is threatened across the country, it imposes new burdens on all those who work to make higher education possible in the United States. The House GOP tax plan, like the Senate GOP tax plan passed in the dark of night, is an attack on all Americans that work. By eliminating critical deductions working people rely upon and actually raising taxes on millions of middle-class families, Republicans in Congress have shown a loyalty to donors and lobbyists, not the constituents they were elected to serve. I ask that each of you turn your frustration and anger into action, and your voices into votes. We must hold every Republican that votes for these toxic tax plans accountable for the damage they will do to our education system, to our families, and to our future. Thank you.
Our next speaker is from right here in Reading. She is a college student where she is paying her own way, like many of us, to get her associate's degree. She's a dreamer and has been a fierce advocate on behalf of dreamers for many years. Please welcome Rainey Leonore Lake.
Here in Reading. I remember Bernie's first visit last year. I remember standing on this very stage feeling vulnerable and scared to share my story. Today I stand before you, not vulnerable, but empowered. In September, my biggest fear and the fear of many other immigrant students came true. I am a proud DACA recipient. The DACA program that many undocumented students like myself brought out of the shadows and allowed us to become official contributing members of society. The Trump administration wants to take that away from us. Now my life and the lives of 800,000 documented youth hangs in the balance while we wait for Congress to decide whether we're worthy or even human enough to stay in this country. On Friday, the same people decided that it was more important for them to get a tax break than to pass the Clean Dream Act. With this tax scam, they will take millions of dollars from working class and use it to build detention centers where they hope to put me and many hardworking immigrants. No! That ain't right. I work, I go to school, I do my best to make a positive difference in my community. The Trump administration and every congressperson who voted for this tax scam wants to take me away without giving me the chance at citizenship. I'm not Rainey to them. They don't see me, but I see them. I see President Trump say that he wants to find a solution for dreamers. But, yes, but they do not take action. The xenophobic attacks on immigrant families are the actions that I see. I will not hide and stay in the shadows, no matter what they throw at me. I'm here to say that I'm here to stay.
The executive director of Make the Road PA, and has been a Pennsylvania resident for over 10 years. Make the Road Pennsylvania is the largest group representing the Latinx community in Pennsylvania. He has spent his entire career as a union activist and a fighter for his community. Please help me welcome Adam Jesus Marie.
It is very appropriate that we are rallying here today in Reading. We are in a city that has been devastated by the same system that seeks to give billions and billions of dollars to the billionaires. We are in a city that is crippled by unemployment. We are in a city with the second worst funding for schools in the whole country. We are in a city that knows when businessmen get together in Washington, it is our people, our children, and our families that suffer. We are in a city that is not going to be fooled by this tax scam. But we are also in a city that knows how to fight back. When Trump took the presidency, they expected us to disappear. They thought people like Rainey, myself, many in here, they thought Make the Road would disappear, but we have done the opposite. We have stood up over and over again to take them on. When they proposed Proposition 287G here in Berks County, we mobilized thousands of people and we defeated them. We have been on the front lines over and over again to defend the ACA. We have been on the lines fighting against this tax scam, and we're going to keep on fighting. We know what it takes to win. We have to leave out of here today not proud that we came today, but ready to go to the streets and to fight, to take the fight to them at every corner, at every office. They think by doing these things at 2 a.m. in the morning that we don't see what they're doing, but we see it, we're going to organize, and we will defeat them. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a student at Montgomery County Community College. Let me say that again. It's a tongue twister. Montgomery County Community College. And she's active on campus. She is a Next Gen Fellow, and she organizes her fellow students. Give it up for Chardonnay White.
Chardonnay White, and in 5 years, I'll have $100,000 in debt because of my medical expenses and student loans. I have multiple chronic illnesses that need constant attention and chronic migraines that plague my daily life. Without the medications I receive, I would be a shell of the person you see before you. As a result of the Affordable Care Act and the laws we currently have in place, I pay a low copay for the medications that have changed my life. Under the Republican tax bill, I wouldn't be able to afford it. Like many of you, this tax plan threatens my livelihood and my future. I went to a public high school and am currently enrolled in a community college that is in Montgomery County. I'm a liberal studies major, and when I transfer, I will become a political science major with dreams of going to law school. With the newly passed Senate bill soon to go to the House, students like me who are financially independent would not have the same opportunities that I had. In high school, I was able to take AP classes, be a part of the arts, and do much more due to my school having funding. With the state and local tax revenues no longer being deducted, I know that students like me will not have the access to education that I was given. I plan on furthering my graduation through graduate school, but a proposed part of the tax plan will cut tuition waivers and cause grants to be taxed as income for graduate students, making it impossible for me and thousands of other students to afford our pursuits of higher education. In 5 years, I will have $116,000 in debt, and I won't be alone. Republicans in Congress must stop playing politics with people's lives and propose policies that help us achieve our country's potential and increase access to higher education. I'm happy to help them do their homework on policies that actually help students and working people. Will you help me? Keep calling, keep rallying, keep showing up. My future and all of yours depend on it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our next speaker was born in Allentown, but has lived in Lancaster almost his whole life. His family is from Puerto Rico, and he works to make sure that their voices are represented. He is an active member of Keystone Progress and helped found Lancaster Stands Up. Please welcome Rafael Diaz.
One time for Bernie, folks, come on. This weekend, the Republican Party made a statement. Loud and clear, they told the American people that they will readily sacrifice each and every one of us in order to benefit corporations and wealthy donors. But this is nothing new. It's the apex of decades of failed conservative policies and corporate dominance. Racist economics that are less trickle down and more like a vacuum, sucking up wealth from our communities and directing it straight up to the rich. There's perhaps no place where this has been more clear than in Puerto Rico, especially in light of the aftermath of the man-made disaster of Hurricane Maria. I say man-made because what is natural about cataclysmic climate change caused by the greed of just a handful of corporations? What is natural about a manufactured debt crisis that's led to rotting infrastructure, closed schools, and disinvested communities that have just given the rich more power and left us behind? And the policies that inform this upside-down tax scam are the very same that systematically strip the wealth and resources from the island much of my family calls home. My family did their best to live the American dream. And like so many people of color, they had to work twice as hard and be twice as smart just to earn their place in middle-class society. But that hasn't mattered. Some of them are still without electricity, stuck using a diesel generator to power their homes. My abuela died 3 days before the storm. We didn't know the state of her remains until a week after the hurricane passed, when we found out that because of the storm, we'd have to cremate her instead of bury her against her wishes. This is the kind of devastation that comes from policies like the GOP tax bill. This cannot continue. must keep fighting against Trump and the GOP. But not only that, we must stand up to any leader who thinks that going back to the status quo is good enough. There is no excuse to live in a world where there's enough resources to go around, but the many suffer so the few can live in luxury. We must organize, we must fight, we must keep going until no one is left behind, until we achieve a world where everyone is fed, everyone is housed and clothed, and we can stand side by side in the beauty of our united communities and know that we live in a country that finally truly deserves the title Land of the Free. Thank you.
If Chris didn't let me introduce her, I probably would have fought him for it. Before I went on the road with Senator Sanders this weekend, I was in DC and we held a close to 30-hour people's filibuster outside of the Capitol. So while senators and members were inside listening to their lobbyist friends, we were outside demanding they listen to us.
Thank you!
And my friend Anna, who's gonna come on stage next with her family, and her group, the Little Lobbyists, were there through the rainy, cold night. The Little Lobbyists are families with children who have complex medical needs. For them to stand outside in the middle of the night and fight against this plan tells me everything I need to know about it. It's awful, and we're gonna fight. And so Anna's gonna come up with her family, her sons Jackson and Henry, and her husband Michael, and tell us a little bit more.
Of a few key groups, so you let me hear you if we're representing you today. We represent Pennsylvania. We represent children with complex medical needs. We represent pre-existing conditions. Medicaid. We represent the working class. And we represent families who are worried about how this new tax bill will affect our lives. My sons have Noonan syndrome. They received Medicaid under the PH95 waiver in Pennsylvania since 2012. But before that, we struggled to afford the cost of their care, and it almost bankrupted us. We lived for years in near poverty simply because our children have complex medical needs. Medicaid saved my family. Our country was founded on a simple ideal that taxation without representation is tyranny. Well, jobs for minimum wage just to make ends meet. Do you feel represented? Because I don't. We have been telling our story to anyone who will listen since January. We have been traveling to DC to tell our story to Congress since March. And we have been going to Capitol Hill with the little lobbyists since July to not only tell our story, but to tell stories about children with complex medical needs from all across the country. We won't stop until we feel represented in our government. I ask you today to stand with us when we tell our representatives that not one penny can be taken from children with complex medical needs. Not one penny can be given to the wealthy at the expense of those who need it most. Not one penny can be sacrificed when our children's lives, livelihoods, and lifelines are under attack. Please, show up to offices, call every day, and tell Congress, not one penny.
Our next speaker is a two-time breast cancer survivor who works in medical billing in Lancaster. She is a mother, and her family is involved in Lancaster Stands Up. She works to overcome the forces of racism, sexism, prejudice, and hate in her community. Please welcome Eliza and her son, Cornell Booth.
Hello, my name is Eliza Booth, and this is my 10-year-old son, Cordell. We live in Lancaster, and we're honored to be here with you today. I have the utmost respect for Senator Sanders for standing up and fighting for all of us. I volunteered for Bernie's 2016 primary campaign. He gave me hope then and continues to inspire me now. I'm proud of the work he's currently doing, and it gives hope to many of us that we can have people with integrity in our government who understand their job is to represent us, the people, and not Wall Street billionaires. We are here today to speak out against what is happening in this country. This tax bill that was passed late Friday night is a horrific piece of legislation that will devastate so many Americans. The way the Republican Congress is sabotaging the Affordable Care Act through this awful tax bill is unconscionable. As a two-time breast cancer survivor, I understand the importance of having health care coverage and understand how the burden of medical bills can hinder someone from living life to the fullest. Constant worry about medical debt is not something families should live with in the richest country in the history of the world. Mandate means millions more people will be uninsured, and this will cause health insurance premiums to rise, but the worst part is that more people will needlessly die. During times like these, it is easy to despair. It is easy to think you are helpless. It is easy to just throw up your hands and say, what's the use of getting involved in our political system? Nothing is going to change. A year ago, I was feeling that way. Then I joined with others in my community, and we started a grassroots effort called Lancaster Stands Up. people in our community. Our goal is simple: to bring everyday people back into the political process. We are knocking on doors and listening to people's concerns about their community and their country. We are offering people a way to use their voice for positive change. We tell people that what is happening in their government isn't a reality show. Our government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. And at Lancaster Stands Up, we're working to make that a reality. So I leave you with this: we are not helpless, we are not hopeless. Together we are strong, together we are powerful, and together we can make the future better for all of us. Thank you.
there is an individual that we all know and that I have spent the last few days traveling around state to state with. And, no, spoiling my surprise. Okay. And this person has shown that her passion is not a put on. There are so many people that sometimes when you get involved, you're like, oh, is that real? Is that true? This woman is truly a woman for the people. Really. I have seen her operate in passion. I have seen her dedication. I have been a fan from afar. She is somebody who has been fighting for labor. She has been fighting for women's reproductive health. She has been fighting for voting rights. She has been fighting for the eradication of wealth and income inequality. She is a fighter. Come on. Good afternoon, everybody. And after this weekend, I personally have become an even bigger fan. She is the president of Our Revolution. Come on, Our Revolution. And she is the founding fellow of the Sanders Institute. Please, people, good afternoon, everybody. 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 Help me welcome State Senator Nina Turner.
To feel heavy. But I want your heaviness to distract you from the fact that when conscious-minded people unite, great things happen. So we know #the struggle is real. But just as important as recognizing that the struggle is real is recognizing that each and every person in this room, and for people who are watching us via live stream and our sisters and brothers all over this country, #the struggle is real, but also #people can make a difference. So, I bring you good news, and a transformation is happening in this country, and sleeping giants are awakening. That when we galvanize the synergy and energy of a conscious-minded people, there is nothing that we cannot do. I bring you word, though, from Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, because I want this to inform the comments that I made this afternoon when she said that what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that's not too much to ask. And what the GOP just did a couple of nights ago is the antithesis of creating an America as good as its promise. But guess what, sisters and brothers? The people are coming. There should be a consequence, an electoral consequence for what they did. So come on, folks, are we gonna make them pay? Make them pay. Make them pay. And this is gonna happen now, sisters and brothers. You got to follow me on this. This is only going to happen if we organize. And we gotta be ready. Reading, we gotta be ready. In the ready position. This calls for us to have some perseverance. And for us to understand that 2018 is just around the corner. Ballot boxes are ready for the people. Because I tell you this, trickle down is a trick. Trickle down is a trick. It is not okay to balance the on the backs of the working poor and middle class in this country. Okay. Trickle down is a trick. It is not okay for the mother in Louisville to tell me that her son, who was born with congestive heart failure, that not only does she have to bear a mother's grief in a world that would deny her son just because he was born with a condition, not only health insurance, but in a world, in a country that would deny her son life insurance. Trickle down is a trick. And for an uncle who is in a rehab center being told by his doctors, too bad, so sad, your insurance has lapsed and we got to kick you out even though we are not finished rehabilitating you. Trickle down is a trick. And it is not okay for our sisters and brothers in Clinton, Michigan to this day to still have to deal with the burden. Trickle down is a trick. For our sisters and brothers in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands to be 75 days suffering. Trickle down is a trick. There's so much that they could have done with our money. This is your money. I want you to understand this, that this is nothing more than a power grab, a transfer of wealth from the poor to the wealthy. Our revolution, creating in the vision of Senator Bernie Sanders, the people's revolution. I've never heard one mother, one father, one grandmother, one aunt, one uncle begrudge anybody for having wealth. But what I have heard the people say is that they are sick and tired of excessive greed on their backs.
My dad.
Who with a straight face could take away the people's money and give it to the 1% to people who do not need it. But I am here to say, ready this afternoon, that trickle down is a trick and we are not going to stand for it. We will not be tricked again. Shame on them, but we got a message for you. We coming for your seat. So I bring you good word this morning that I know that the champions in this room and all across this country, that we may feel down, baby, but we are not out. Because can I say this to you on a Sunday? That our mission is so high, we can't get over it. And our mission is so low. Come on with me, somebody. We can't get under. And that our mission is so wide, we cannot get around it. That we have an assignment, and our assignment is to restore democracy for Lottie Dottie and everybody. Trickle down in the trick. Can I say something? Can I say a few more things to you? I brought a friend. Man, Senator Bernie Sanders. This is not the senator's first time here. I was with the senator all along this journey. And, he said these words, and I want you to follow me on this. He said, we are fighting for justice and decency. Understand that justice and decency. And then he went on to say, he said, politics is life and death stuff. So in the deep way, family, we are together, but I want you to understand what the senator is saying, that we got a lot on the line, that folks are depending on us to stand up and to speak and to use our anger use our anger in a way to have a righteous indignation about what is going wrong in this country. We are fighting for justice and decency. So we are here fighting for life, for you, for your children, for generations yet unborn. So I want you to join me in bringing the people's champion. Can you stand to your feet?